Welcome to Financial Clarity, the podcast dedicated to helping service-based small business owners achieve financial success. Join us as we demystify financial concepts, get practical tips from seasoned entrepreneurs, and discover strategies to increase profit and value. Hannah Smolinski here. I'm the host of the Financial Clarity podcast, where I chat with successful entrepreneurs, financial experts, and leaders in the small business community. Past guests include Lindsay Peterson, a branding expert who is passionate about what a good brand can do for overall value of a company, and Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist, who gave us some very helpful tips on how to stay focused on what matters the most as entrepreneurs. So please go back and check those past episodes, and you can find those on your favorite podcast app. Today's episode is brought to you by Relay. Relay is a financial technology company on a mission to equip business owners with the know-how and tools to help them understand exactly how much they're earning, spending, and saving. Having clarity about your day-to-day finances is essential for building a profitable and sustainable business. To learn more about Relay and how it can help your business gain financial clarity, go to claracfo.com/relay. Today's guest was introduced to me by our sponsor, Relay. I connected with Relay at the QuickBooks Connect conference in 2023, I believe it was. And that led me to researching more about Relay and realizing what a great banking solution it can be for small businesses. So my guest today is Deanna Zubrickas. Deanna works directly with Relay partners, accountants, and bookkeepers, helping them deliver superior business banking to their clients. Deanna is a certified Profit First professional and a go-to product expert for business banking solutions and banking integration with accounting software. Before making the move into financial technology, Deanna supervised retail operations and managed customer relations at a number of enterprise and mid-level retail brands, including Oakenfork, Free People, and Urban Outfitters. So, Deanna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I am very excited because we've had some banking guests on the podcast before, and I think that there's just a lot of questions in this space. So I'm really happy that you are here to be a resource to us. And I'm looking forward to people also asking questions afterwards, because I think we're going to possibly have some follow-up questions here. And so I might be tapping you again at some point in the future to help us out, because I just think there's a lot of things that, people almost feel like maybe they can't ask. And so we want to bring financial clarity here and to this space. So
yeah, tap me for any questions. And, it's a topic that nobody really likes to talk about, but you kind of have to, because we all interact with our bank every single day, right? Especially when you're a business owner. So it's a necessary evil, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be. Your bank can be a wonderful partner to you. So I like the idea of thinking of the bank as an extension of your finance team. So
100%.
Well, I would like to know first how you got into financial technology, because Relay is not a bank. They are a financial technology that sits on top of an underlying bank. And so what was it that kind of drew you into this industry from retail?
It's a really great question. And I've been asked this quite a few times. And, I was working retail up until the pandemic. And the pandemic hit. I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto, and so we've got one major mall downtown, and it's the biggest one. And I always, saw myself managing multiple stores and just kind of growing that way. And when the pandemic hit, in-store shopping was no longer what it was previously. And I thought, how do I pivot from this? I work with customers day to day, really strong in relationship building. What else is there out there for me? And so I thought, hey, maybe I could go into the B2B world and try my luck there. And I ended up getting introduced to Relay in March of 2021. And I met the team, and it was immediately the people that were working at Relay. It was a very human interviewing experience, which is not something that you can usually say about an interview experience.
Right.
And the product really, really spoke for itself. And so that had me really interested in taking that leap of faith of totally changing industries and in such a tumultuous time. And I tried it out and have loved it ever since. And I talk, banking needs all day, every day with small business owners, accountants, and bookkeepers. So it's been quite the ride the last 3 years, but I've loved every second of it.
Yeah. Do you think that the banking industry kind of did something similar in, we all moved from brick and mortar shopping to online shopping? Are you seeing that happen as an industry shift as well in banking?
Yeah, 100%. When I first joined the Relay team, there was probably only a a handful of, we consider ourselves a neobank. And that's exactly kind of the description you gave before, Hannah, as a financial tech company built on top of a partner bank. And so there was a handful of us at the time, and every year there seems to be a few more and a few more. So this space is really growing, which is nice to see. I'd love to see people move towards an online bank, and it's nice to have so many choices. And you just have to do the research to see what is the best fit for your business and for you, right?
Mm-hmm. I think what it made, like during the pandemic, it really made us all think like, oh, I've always done it this certain way. And then
Yeah.
now I have to get creative and do something different. Like, oh, I
Hmm.
always used to walk my checks into a branch and deposit them on a Friday. But if I can't really get to a branch to do that anymore, like maybe I need to consider mobile deposits or maybe I need to consider something else. I mean, we all kind of had to figure out, like, I started getting milk delivery during
Yeah.
the pandemic because that was one way I could guarantee that I could get milk coming to my house, milk and eggs and cheese and, some basics. And I still have it now because it's really nice to have that like service. So I feel like there's probably a lot of things that have changed. And I think banking is definitely one of those where we've started to realize what else can we do digitally that maybe we thought we needed to do in person a while back.
Yeah, I think it forced a lot of people to evolve, not only in their personal life, but also their business and relationships. And banking was definitely a part of that 100%.
Mhm. One of the things that I like about Relay is that they talk about cash flow clarity. So
Hmm.
I love cash flow and as a CFO, and I also like clarity. The name of this podcast is Financial Clarity. So I was curious, like, what does that mean to Relay, and what are the tools that they have to kind of help business owners or people using the banking solutions? How can they bring cash flow clarity?
Yeah, so at Relay, we are definitely an online banking platform, but we do consider ourselves a cash flow management system as well. And why we consider that is because we've tried to build tools that a banking platform can really help you understand what's going on in your business rather than just holding your money, right? Typically, a business might have one single checking account, maybe a savings account if you're lucky,
Mhm.
right? And if you're looking at that one lump sum, you can't possibly know what you owe, what you're owed, like what is coming in and out of the business. And often you're having to make your financial decisions based off this one number. And of course, you've got accountants and bookkeepers to kind of help you understand what's going in your business, but that's really after the fact, right? It's really hard to understand live today what's happening in your business.
Mm.
So businesses that set up with Relay, you get up to 20 checking accounts per entity. So we really believe that if you want to separate funds or earmark it for different areas in the business, this is the best way to get cash flow clarity, whether you're saving for a tax goal. Once you get through one season of tax season with funds set aside for it, it's going to change your life. So that's a great option, or having a separate account for payroll to make sure that you never miss it again. Or, if you want to buy new equipment or you need a new computer, set aside funds for that. And so you're really understanding, where your goals are at a business level, and also like how close you are to attaining them, really understanding more so how the money is moving in your business. And when you do use the multiple accounts on Relay, we've actually built other features like an auto transfer rule. So if you want to move money specifically to the tax savings account or to the
Mm.
payroll account at a specific percentage or dollar amount, you can automate that. So it'll transfer whenever you need and really set up a process in your business. Because most business owners, and I'm sure you'd kind of agree with this, Hannah, is you get into business for the what you're passionate about or the goods that you're selling, or that's what you're really focused on. And the financials come along with it, right? It's just how it works, but sometimes that's not your expertise.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to really rely on your bank, which should be the central nervous system of your business, to really help you understand what's going on rather than just kind of looking at that one number and scratching your head a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That number sitting in the bank, I mean, whether it's $10,000 or it's, $5 million, like that has to do a lot of things for you.
Yeah.
And that you can't just look at a number and say, oh, great. Well, now I can afford to buy that, $5 million yacht because I have all that
Hmm.
money there. Right. I mean, obviously, none of us are going to do that because
Of
we're being
course.
very responsible. But I do see that happening where businesses are completely being run on just looking at a bank balance.
Yeah.
And, that's where we layer in like, okay, yes, you have like financial reports. You need to know like how many bills do you have outstanding? Like, do you have a
Hmm.
payroll that's coming up? Because maybe all of your clients just paid you, but then you're going to have payroll come out. And that's obviously very important. Like, so, I think I like the idea of separating some of that money out. Like, especially I'm a big fan of the tax savings account. And I recently did a video where I showed like how to set up a tax savings account on the, main YouTube channel. And I loved like how easy it was to do that in Relay. Just like you can rename it super easy and then you can, automate that, and I think if we can simplify some of these processes
Mhm.
as business owners, it helps take off a lot of the mental burden as well of
Yes.
just what we do.
100%. And if you're kind of sitting here listening and going, I could really use a tax savings account, or like that's where I want to start, but I don't want to use my lunch hour to go down to the bank, or I don't want to grab all the paperwork to do it. That's honestly the roadblock that stops a lot of people is, oh, I got to make time for this. Whereas if you choose an online banking platform like Relay, in seconds, you can create your new checking account on Relay, delete it whenever you want, rename it, like you said, repurpose it. And it's a business banking platform built for the business owner. You're in the driver's seat, which I think is something that's lost a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. I also see people use those savings or other checking accounts for things like they've gotten a deposit from a client. This happens a lot in service-based businesses. Maybe you get like a
Yeah.
50% deposit on a project, but then that project
Mhm.
lasts 6 months. And, people have asked me, like, how do I handle that cash that comes in? And how do I know that that cash is going to be there when I need to pay those contractors or I need to pay my employees for that work and labor that they're going to do? So that's another way that can be leveraged to be able to like put a deposit into a separate account and then slowly drip it out to your operating account over time. And that deposit is supposed to cover for a certain amount. So, or if you get a prepayment, I mean, sometimes like clients will, say, hey, I want to prepay you for a whole year because that's going to be tax efficient for me.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, like you can potentially, put that money aside and then sort of bring it over into your operating account so you don't just look at that number and think like, oh, I've got all this money ready to go and able to
Mhm.
spend it.
Yeah, what can I spend this all on? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people that come to Relay, whether it's service-based or agencies or even a lot of construction businesses that work on project-based work. And if you are going to separate the funds, you can have up to 50 debit cards on Relay if you really want, and you can tie those to those specific projects. So you
Mm.
know that everything coming out of that one checking account is dedicated to that project. And all of the transactions are laid out there with you. We also have a receipt capture feature on Relay. So if there are multiple cards for different people in the business coming out of this account, you can require that they all upload receipts and it will
Mm.
match to the transaction. So it's not even just the separating the funds, but it's actually using them and making sure that they're going to the right purpose. And I
Yeah.
can't imagine how people did that before having multiple accounts. I don't want to imagine it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. That can get really messy really fast. And even just trying to track down receipts is like, it's such a nightmare. I have people and clients that they have team members who basically started to become almost solely dedicated to just tracking down receipts. And like, that's a person that costs, $50,000 a year to do that. It's an extremely expensive endeavor if you don't kind of make that process efficient. So,
Yeah. And, there's tons of different platforms out there for you to incorporate to help with that. But the idea at Relay here is we want to combine as many of those platforms or those uses in one platform. So
mhm.
ultimately, we want to be the one-stop shop for your business and tying in these other key features that really make you more efficient and not having to hire a whole nother person to do a role is really what our goal is.
Totally. I think that's the financial technology piece. So I think that's what you're getting like on top of like the banking abilities. It's
Mhm.
also like what other tools is it bringing to the table that could be taking over another software that you're potentially paying for. Because we haven't mentioned it, but Relay is free to use.
Mhm.
And there are some transaction fees at certain levels and you can pay for like a higher level of service. But like for the most part, it's all the services are free. So what I noticed is that I like this idea of leveraging the leveraging the ability of a bank, but then adding these extra tools on it that a traditional brick and mortar bank they're not working on building out those tools because that's not their business. They
Mhm.
don't really care that you're paying your contractors more efficiently or that you have better like cash flow tools or anything like that. They're working on being a bank
Yeah.
only. But then
Yeah.
like as a technology company, you guys are thinking about like what else can we be, doing. So I'm kind of curious, like, what are the other things like outside of like what a traditional bank might be able to do? Like, what are some things that Relay can do that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I think one of the major ones I always discuss with business owners is the setup process. You can set up a bank account, just your initial bank account within 10 minutes on Relay. It's usually reviewed in the next few hours. So whether you are a solopreneur or you have multiple, like if you're a nonprofit and you have multiple board members, you are
Mhm.
not having to physically all meet somewhere to get this done, which is huge. Or and maybe it's issuing yourself a debit card or setting up all of your payments. You're doing that from the comfort of your home, your car, however you want to work best with your bank, you can do it wherever. So the actual setup and like maintenance of the account can be done on your own terms, which I think is important, especially businesses can look like absolutely anything these days, right? You can set your own hours, travel while you're working, and your bank should be able to keep up with you. So I think we do a really great job at that. But we've also, figured out some really great ways to integrate with the rest of the tech stack that you would use as a business owner. So
Mm,
different point of sale tools or payment platforms like Venmo and PayPal and Square and Stripe. We connect directly with them, so all of your deposits can settle immediately in Relay. But also the back end, like any of your accounting softwares, we connect directly to things like QuickBooks Online and Xero, and they're smart connections. So you're like connecting them once and not having to reconnect them again in the future because they're actually built to work together. Whereas, a
yeah,
typical financial institution, it was built and then it's like, oh crap, now we got to build into QuickBooks or into
right.
these accounting softwares, and that's not how it was truly built. Whereas that's how Relay is built, and we're always adding on different integrations. Within the last year, we added integration to Gusto, a payroll software. So we're
Mhm.
constantly trying to add in things that make your life easier as a business owner. And one of those, a few years back, we launched an accounts payable program. So if you've got a lot of payments or you want someone to help you with approvals, we've built that into Relay too. That's why we chose to build in the receipt capture feature. I haven't
Mm,
heard of that coming from any other bank before, right? Usually that's a whole nother platform.
right.
So yeah, again, what I said earlier, we're trying to make everything in Relay in one spot. And that's kind of how we've worked on doing that so far.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Do you feel like are there some hangups that happen that people might be more reluctant to move to an online bank
People are always going to
banking?
find some hangups, but I would say the most common ones I hear is, I've been with my personal bank. They have my business banking there too. I've been there for 15 years.
Mhm.
I'm not ready to let go of that. And I don't think beginning to use Relay means that you're letting go of anything. I think it just means you're reassessing your relationship with the bank and thinking, well, other than a personal relationship, are they actually supporting my business the way that I need? Is it expensive? Is the technology what I need? Do I have great access to it? So it's very easy to use Relay as another account alongside your bank,
Mm,
your local bank, and kind of use each for what they're best at. So I would say a personal relationship is one, or a loan relationship. So if you need a loan as a resource for your business, which many people do, that's not something that Relay offers today. It's something we'd love to get into in the future. But it's very easy to keep that local bank account with that loan. And maybe you've got to keep a certain amount of funds there or a certain account. Use Relay for the other things alongside of it. Basically, any objection people can come up with to moving forward to Relay, it's use it alongside your bank, whether, hey, I'm cash heavy, perfect. Deposit your cash at a local bank, transfer it into Relay. We're very, very friendly
yeah.
with all other banks out there. We connect to 100% of US banks, whether it's business or personal. So we can always try to find a way to make it work. But usually it's just that comfort level of leaving what I know or some type of connection I have. But it doesn't mean you have to leave it. Like make it work for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I also think that I like my clients to have more than one banking relationship.
Hmm.
I think it diversifies the risk a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, it allows different functionality for sure. If you might be able to like, maybe get a higher interest rate at one bank versus another bank, and it's a little
Yeah.
bit harder to just you you don't want to just keep like moving banking relationships just to like get one thing from
Hmm.
from a bank.
Hmm.
So I like the idea of having a centralized platform, something like Relay, and then also still having some kind of touch point with something local as well. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of digital businesses that are fully online that I think that can totally be 100% online and
Yeah.
do all of their banking online as well. But then I think there is kind of sometimes like still that need to have that, ability to go in to somewhere and have like a brick and mortar as well. But
Mhm.
I think yeah, I think they work together.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
can.
They definitely can. And,
Mhm.
probably a year or 2 years ago, it was very common for most banks to only cover up to 250K for FDIC insurance.
Mhm.
Since then, Relay has actually upped it twice, which I'm very proud to say. And so we actually cover up to 3 million now. Obviously,
Mhm.
3 million can be a future goal for a lot of businesses. The point is it's there. So if you are capped out at a local bank, move the funds around, whether it's for a
Yeah.
savings account or to keep it insured. It's always nice to know that there's other options out there.
Yeah. Yeah, how I've recently gone through this with some clients because they had more than $250,000 in a bank, and
Yeah.
that was their cash flow. It wasn't like, oh, this is just savings. It's just,
Yeah.
they are spending more than that. So
Yeah.
every month, so they need to have it liquid and they need to have it available. Um I'm curious, like how I know this, but I'm hoping that you can explain it to the audience of how does Relay achieve that like higher FDIC limit? Like how does that work?
It's a great question. And this comes in part with us being a neobank and having a physical banking partner. So that's why we can do a lot of different things on Relay. So our partner bank is called Thread Bank. They're located in Tennessee. They're, a physical bank you can go and visit. And through our relationship with Thread, that's how we have our FDIC. Now, Thread also has an additional network of banks. Each of these banks covers 250K. So they have enough of those banks in their network to equal up to 3 million. So your cash is liquid in Relay. You can always access it. There's no issues, but it's being insured at other trusted banks throughout the network. And that's how we can offer a higher amount. And so if you've got a higher balance, like bring it into Relay, pop it in a savings account. Or if it's your cash flow, like you said, and yeah, it'll be protected while in Relay.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes people don't want to have to like monitor super closely and then have to be moving money over here or over
Yep.
there, like to be able to have that money insured. But I mean, when we had, banking collapses, what was that? Last year?
Yep.
2023? Was that
Yep.
2023?
It was.
Yeah, gosh, that seems like forever ago. But when that happened, like that really made everybody kind of scared and looking at, oh, that FDIC insurance thing is actually a very real,
This
very
is something I should pay
real
attention to.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a lot of our listeners that, $250,000 is just really not enough. So, there are ways to like increase your coverage within one bank, but
Mhm.
one way to diversify your risk is to look at getting your money into other banks as well. So that's what that ability to have those relationships where they can kind of leverage the actual bank is having those relationships. So we don't have to manage having 10 different accounts with 10 different banks because that
Exactly.
can be quite cumbersome.
Yeah, and honestly, us upping our FDIC coverage is through our reaction to what happened with the
Mhm.
bank collapses of last year. We thought, what else can we do to support the businesses that work with us? We want them to feel confident and that they're, choosing the right partner. And that's another reason why having a physical banking partner and being a neobank really works in our favor is because we can make these changes because again, we're not this ancient financial institution. We're trying to be different and really work for what our customers are looking for. We have the same position around customer feedback. That's how we decide what we want to implement and what we prioritize, and we can make those changes faster and yeah, just make everybody feel a little bit more secure. So
Mhm.
another more big points for a neobank.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Um, I appreciate that because, yeah, that's that at the end of the day, you want to have security. Like that's what we want when it comes to our cash. We want to
Yep.
know that when we put it in there, it's going to be there when we need it and we're going to have access to it and we're going to be able to, use it how we need to. So I think all of us are kind of in that same spot.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you think that there are any industries that are maybe a little bit more like maybe would be easier to move to online banking solutions versus a traditional industry? Sorry, let me restate that. Do you think that there are any industries that would be able to leverage online banking more than another industry that might need a more traditional brick and mortar type business type of bank?
I think that every industry could leverage using something like Relay. I think some could use Relay as their sole bank account. Businesses like somebody that's in e-commerce or like content creators. We are very, very popular with a lot of real estate,
Mm,
especially multi-entities. So I think it's very typical that once you own one property, you own multiple. And
right.
you actually have the ability on Relay to have all of those entities stored under the same login. So you log in once and can see all 5, 6, 15 of your properties if you really want. And
Mhm.
so real estate moves fast, right? You got to be able to move money and get money when you need. And we can keep up with that here at Relay. So I would say that's another industry that really thrives on Relay.
Mhm. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Yeah, I'd say like, if you are maybe a business that like takes a ton of cash and you're just very like cash heavy and you're looking
Hmm.
to do like a daily deposit or something like that, it might be like something that you could leverage like a brick and mortar and then the online solutions on top of that, where you
Yeah.
have your place that you're actually, you're actually depositing you go to the bank with your big wad of cash, you deposit
Hmm.
that, and then you could potentially transfer that money into something else. But yeah, I would see that most of the time, like I'm seeing solutions that most industries can leverage here. So I like that. Um, is there any other like future developments we should be thinking about or anything that you're really excited about with Relay and where they're going?
Yeah. So we are actually beta testing right now for a brand new feature that has been a long time coming for Relay. And it's actually a credit card.
Ooh,
So I don't want to spill all the details,
okay.
but we're planning to launch that this fall. And we're really excited about it. There will be a rewards program, and you'll have all the functionality you have now today in Relay. Like you can use it with your receipt capture and set limits, turn cards on or off. So you still get
Mhm.
all the great control as a business owner in Relay on the cards. It's just you have better visibility on it. So that's something that is coming, and we're very, very excited. I'm sure everybody will hear it when we scream it from the rooftops when it's finally launched.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we just had a new feature launch over the last 2 months, and it was another long-time feature coming from an online banking platform. And it's kind of funny because you're probably not expecting me to say this, but we launched physical checkbooks.
Oh, yeah.
So this is something that we hadn't had at Relay before. And we've always offered the service like Relay will print and mail checks on your behalf for
Right.
free, but you couldn't have your own checkbook. So we recently launched it to everybody. And it's like people were banging down our door asking for this feature. So now you can actually print your own checkbook. So from whatever provider you want, whether it's QuickBooks, whether it's Costco, whatever works for you, but you can print your own checks and do that. And it is, it's kind of ironic for an online banking platform to launch something like this, but in order for us to be able to work across all industries was
Yeah.
something we felt we needed to provide, and is another example of us like prioritizing what our customers are looking for. So even though maybe we didn't at first think, that's going to be a new feature for us, but we had to do it, and we were happy to
Yeah.
do it. So yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I was thinking about that actually because, as much as, I mean, I have a checkbook with my traditional bank, but, I write like maybe one check a month tops,
Yep. It's for the
So,
if I need to have it, right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's sometimes where like that is how you need to pay something. And then maybe you don't
Yeah.
have time to actually get it like digitally, like do it online and actually have it like mailed out to somebody. And
Yeah.
you just need to take a check somewhere. So,
Yeah. And so we want to make it work, right?
yeah.
And I think it's really industry dependent on who needs that. Like we see that a lot with construction, or if you work
Yeah.
with subcontractors. And so our best answer, previously was you can do next day ACH for free on Relay. You can do same day ACH on Pro, and you can require W-9s from these subcontractors. So we're thinking like, hey, this is the best option, right? Everybody gets the info they need.
Mhm.
But a lot of people still want that same day check. And this, now we can make it happen for them, which is
Yeah.
great.
That's great. Well, what I like is that they were listening and they were saying, what are people asking for? And we're going to design things that people are asking for, not just stuff that we think that they need. So I like that. The feedback loop is really good.
Yeah.
So, well, Deanna, this has been lovely. Thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Sure.
Let's see here. Before we go, I have one last question for you. And this doesn't really have anything to do with banking. And it doesn't have anything to do with really Relay at all. I just like to know from my guests, like, do you have a favorite business book or a business podcast that you would like to share with our audience?
Hmm. Um, so I shared a little bit earlier that I work a lot in the accounting and bookkeeping space, and so I've done some podcasts with some of the advisors in that space. And then my favorite one that was the most fun to be on and also to listen to was called the Unaccountable podcast, and it's done by I like to call them my friends now, Tyler Otto and Jeremy Van Grohl, and they're two advisors in the space, and they make listening to about accounting and bookkeeping and different tech out there fun, and they don't take themselves too seriously. And so I highly recommend for any business owner out there.
Love it. Unaccountable.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Unaccountable podcast. Okay. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes so people can go and check that out. Awesome. Well, Deanna, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me, Hannah.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Financial Clarity Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes to learn more about today's episode and click subscribe on your favorite podcast app.